Your nighttime stuff. Don't forget it.
Recording in progress.
It's me again, the comic OG, Alex Garcia, here to sit with Don through what's bound to be quite, as you described it, therapy session. Yeah, like minutes ago. I just finished it. It was a chore. It was an absolute chore. Um, Long, boring, unoriginal, uninspired. Yeah, yeah. Like and the thing was Sony like kind of morbed me because I had hopes. I had some hopes. I had some hopes for this. Yeah, I hear you fine, sir.
Pretty. Hello, we should be back. Y'all should hear me now and loud and clear. Now, loud and clear. I'm back. Uh, it was Sony. Sony obviously just sabotaged us going through this. But yes, I agree with everything that you just said. It's slow, it's plotting, it's unoriginal. But I think, man, I don't know how we keep falling into this trap. I don't know how we keep making this same movie over and over and over again. All the tropes, all of the sort of hang-ups of these kind of films, where it's old hat. I feel like a lot of it is just stuff that we've done again and we're retreading. There's a moment in this film where I thought they just did something dumb and it ends up being a big major reveal later on in the film, and I was like, that was your plan for this? uh Without spoiling it, um Aaron Taylor Johnson, who absolutely impressed me in Bullet Train. When that's what I meant in
Yes.
Bullet Train, I was like, yo, like, get this man a super suit yesterday, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
um
they definitely took bullet train aspects and put it in this movie.
Definitely, they definitely did. But bro, was he or was he not sleepwalking through this? At some points, his line deliveries in this, I'm like, are you there? Was anyone there with you that day? Did they say
Yeah.
that was the best take? We're just gonna go with that one. Um, he is incredibly charismatic in Bullet Train. He led Kick Ass 1 and 2, but for some reason in this, he is so vanilla.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
interesting is one of the biggest parts of this character is it's his very distinct accent.
Mm-hmm. Distinct accent, and he's dramatic. Like
Yes.
he's
Did I miss something? I thought in trailer footage we saw that he had an accent. Did I completely, or maybe he just spoke
I
Russian and I
was
thought I
no
equated one for the other?
maybe, but I you can tell this movie had a ton of ADR. Like there were certain scenes where I'm like, that person did not say that.
Oh yeah,
And
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Anytime
surprised if they
someone's
did it
off
a ton with
screen, yeah.
him.
Every time somebody's off screen, there's a re-recording, and this was an issue that happened in Madam Web as well. The villain, you never understood what the villain was saying because they were always ADRing everything that he spoke about. Um, there's a nothing love interest in this, like an absolutely nothing, like a
Nothing.
nothing love
Like,
interest in
why was like aside from her plot device essentially being part of the origin story where they do the flashback. After that, it's like, why are you in this movie?
Very strange. It's all very strange. There's a mysterious helicopter pilot in this
Yeah,
that
that he talks to
we
quite a
never
bit. That does nothing.
don't get a name, don't figure out anything that's going
No, no,
on
I
there.
think I think I
Did
think
he
he
name her?
calls her Allie. I think didn't he call her Allie at one point?
He may have. It might have been in
Yeah,
he and the worst thing is, like I said, I've seen Kick Ass, right? I believe Aaron Taylor Johnson is British. In Kick Ass, he does an American accent, and it's seemingly fine. In this, it seems like a European man trying to do an American accent.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if 90% of this movie, especially considering how many times they delayed it, was
Yeah.
ADR. They went back and said, no, no, let's do the lines again. And probably by the time he's reading these lines for the fourth or fifth time, he's probably just like, yeah, and let's go
Yeah.
here.
I won't join you, Dad. You know, all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff there.
Dimitri, we have to save Dimitri.
Oh my
Is that
God.
good? Is that good?
Yeah. Right? It's like, how is that?
I'm
Um,
smoking a cigarette. Right,
absolutely
Ron?
ridiculous. So up front, Kraven the Hunter is a 2024 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character, directed by J.C. Chandor and written by Richard Wenk, Art Marcum, and Matt Holloway. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven alongside Ariana DeBois, Fred Hetchinger, Alessandro Nivola, Christopher Abbott, and Russell Crowe. The sixth installment in the Sony Spider-Man universe, and the last, supposedly. The film explores Kraven's complex relationship with his father and his rise to becoming the ultimate hunter. Sony developed the film after years of considering Kraven's inclusion in other projects. Development began in 2017. 2017, 7 years they've been working on this film. Wenk was hired in 2018. Chandor confirmed as director in 2021 when Taylor Johnson was cast. Filming occurred from March to June 2022. And everything else has been pickup since then. Everything else has been reshoots since then. After multiple delays, Kraven the Hunter was released on December 13th, 2024, despite a budget of 110 to 130 million. Where? Where? Where did 130 million dollars go in this film? It grossed 26 million worldwide and received negative reviews from critics. Like I said, there was no stop, there was no saving this film, and with the
Nope.
news that the entire universe is set to collapse, you know, this was a phenomenon, people. I couldn't find a version of this pirated up until like yesterday. That means not even the bootleggers went to watch this movie. Do you realize
No, like, yo,
how
it's not
crazy
worth
that
it's
is?
it's not worth the space on our memory cards. Don't
They're like,
bother.
they're like,
Don't bother.
I can get a better cam of Moana 2. I'm gonna go back in Moana and see if I can try that again. Um, bonkers stuff. No one's talking about this film. Usually, you'll see 18 million videos popping up on your feed, right? Easter eggs. Oh, what does that mean? What did that scene mean? What did the ending mean? No one cares. No one is talking about this film. So even when we do, it'll be a bit of a brisk conversation because despite its 2 hour runtime, not much happens in this movie.
No, no, no. It was horrible. I'm sitting there going, how has this been going on for an hour and 45 minutes? And like four things have happened. Like, what is
And
going
I pressed
on?
play and it said 2 hours. For what? Of
You
what? For
know?
what? What
Yeah.
is going on here? Bonkers stuff. But let's get into this recap and review. Let all the people know. If you haven't seen Craven or you want to know what happens in Craven, check out now. If you are for some reason holding out hopes to not be spoiled and catch it on DVD in a week, maybe you can wait out until then. But we are going full spoiler heavy, and we will be just dissecting all things Craven the Hunter in 3, 2, 1. So Our film opens up with Kraven, the titular character, undercover in a brutal Russian prison. Disguised as an inmate, he slaughters an arms dealer and his men in a vicious, bloody attack before escaping into the unforgiving winter wilderness. After a tense encounter with a wolf, Kraven is retrieved by a mysterious woman in a helicopter, hinting that this is far from his first dangerous mission. Now, these first 8 minutes were put on YouTube by Sony in I guess a confidence in showing confidently how good their film was. And JC Chandor, I'm probably saying that wrong, but that was the director of this film. He went to great lengths to try to convince people to watch this movie, saying things like, "It's not like the other Sony movies. Like, give this one a chance." And boo you, sir. Boo you.
No,
Boo
I
that
mean,
man and boo this whole situation.
even Aaron Taylor Johnson came out a couple like a week or so ago, like saying, "Hey man, this isn't like those other movies. This is the action in this is great, all this good stuff." And even some of the trailer cuts got me like, "Ooh, that looks interesting. That looks cool." And this movie was from the very beginning just boring. I didn't watch the 8 minutes when it put on YouTube. I like to watch, me, I'm
Yeah,
anti
yeah, yeah,
spoiler.
yeah.
I like to watch everything fresh. And that opening scene, I was sitting there going, I have a feeling this ain't gonna mean a lick of shit.
Like get to it, like get to it. I like the idea of like putting on a fake tattoo, going into prison, taking a guy out. I thought that was kind of thing. They're like waffling on like the legend of Craven the Hunter. Like some people know about him and some people don't know about him. There's also like this running joke of like, oh, he calls himself Craven. That's kind of weird. It's not that weird. His name is Cravenoff. Like it's not that. It's not that big of a
Well,
deal.
what's funny, what I always thought was funny about the name is Craven is not like a compliment of a name,
No,
because it means cowardly and it means like
it's like a
sneaky
like
and
yeah, it's like
nasty,
yeah. But
so
like
it's
he's taking it on, and like people are worried about his branding. I'm like, don't worry about his fucking branding. Worry about the man himself walking around and shit. Um, bloody though, bloody kills a man with like a lion's tooth or something like that. So
oh no, I was kind of shocked by some of the kills in this. I was like,
yeah,
whoa, okay, so they wanted to push a boundary for a superhero movie here, but besides that, it was just like boring.
it's one of those things that even when they announced this, I'm like, what angle are you going to tackle this at? And this whole idea of like animal loving Craven is a very strange interpretation of the character. It almost feels like it could be an Elseworlds, and I guess all of this is kind of is. It's a world where all these villains seemingly become heroes because Spider-Man isn't around. Am I led to believe that Spider-Man is the reason why all these people became villains? If without
That's
Spider-Man,
right.
Craven, Morbius, Venom would have all just been goody two shoes heroes. Your bad
Hey man,
influence, Peter
I don't know about you, but teenagers in spandex swinging around cities just piss me off.
you know, make me flip
Just
out.
ruins my day. It
God
gets
makes
my
you
goat. It really gets my goat,
It
man.
makes you want to kiss a shotgun. I've seen it. Reed Craven's the last time people.
One of the best
Oh,
Spider-Man stories out there.
what do you think about the encounter with the wolf? He just kind of like looks at it and it's like,
Right. It was, you know, it, they just they have them have these encounters with animals, but they don't. To me, it because the whole potion thing, right, happens.
wait, hold on that, because we got to get there. We got to get there. But I will say, like you said, the connection is vague. At the like that's the most descriptive I can give it. Is like it's vague. The animals will never speak, and I don't want them to. And Craven doesn't speak, and so he has at least four staring contests in this film. We'll try to
Yeah.
do a supercut when I get a chance of all the times an animal will pop up and he'll give it a side eye, and the animal will give him a side eye, and then it's like they play chicken. One of them will just eventually walk away.
No, you got to put it with the sound of that sexy music that
Oh yeah,
I'm
some
in the
sax,
feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some saxophone.
And then
So
there's a connection. There's a connection.
we flash back to a young Sergei Kravinoff and his half brother Dmitry Kravinoff. And if you've read comics, you know Dmitry is the chameleon. And so I'm the entire time I'm like, what's that gonna what shoe's gonna drop there? But they're being picked up from school by their mob boss father Nikolai. They get in, they're like, "Oh, Daddy, are we getting ice cream?" And he's like, "Your mother's dead. She died by suicide, and she was weak." And the kids are like, "What?" So Sergei's like, "Yo, she probably died because you had her committed." But all that is kind of left ambiguous. We never get a full on answer about why she was committed, any of that kind of stuff, besides some random flashbacks of her in a seemingly a ward screaming for Kraven. Um, so that's all left very strangely. So the baby brother's like, "Oh, are we on our way to mom's funeral?" And Nikolai's like, "Yeah, those who take their own lives don't get funerals." Instead, he takes the boys lion hunting in
Yeah,
Tanzania,
yeah.
a cruel attempt to toughen them up. So here is the slightest whiff of a theme, the slightest whiff of a plot. Because although these words may trigger some of our listeners, in the center of this is like an idea of like toxic masculinity, right? Like at the center of this is like this father kind of pushing on these very harsh lessons and saying you just kind of got to do it to be a man. But they never really resolve this because the person that Craven becomes is not too dissimilar from his father. The targets are just
No,
different.
which which I kind of dug how that happens in the, not to jump ahead, but
Yeah, yeah.
it seemed like there was some semblance of a story, and somewhere along the way, people just kept saying, "No, but put more BS in the middle of it for
Yeah.
some reason." Instead, because this should have had like Madam Mask runtime.
Yeah.
Where we get this extra half hour from, I don't know. I don't know, and it was pointless.
Funerals. Funerals that we go to. We don't go to the funeral for the main character's mother, but we'll go to a funeral for a side character's friend in a little bit. So they really prioritize, what scenes go where. In Tanzania, we meet a young Calypso. Are you familiar with this character from the comics? Because I definitely was not. Is this a character
Yes,
in the comics? Yeah.
yeah. Calypso is someone that shows up in my memory. I believe she showed up after Craven's last hunt,
Okay.
and she's supposed to be like the person who would find him his potions, because that was the source of his power. He'd get these
Okay.
potions
Okay.
from the
Okay. Okay.
jungle,
Okay.
and so of course it like kind of like his lover as well. So
Is
she
she the
come.
girl in the animated series? The woman?
I want to say
Sergey.
yes. I
I'll
want to
double
say
check, but
yes. I want to say yes, but I do not have the fondest memories of
Spider-Man the animated
that.
series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spider. I was not a typical '90s baby when it came to that.
She was. She was
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Well, yeah. So her name is Maria Crawford, but I guess Calypso is like a alias. I don't know if that's the same thing in the comics. In the comics, nope, her real name is just Calypso. But in the animated series, she becomes like a she Craven.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she becomes okay, okay.
yeah,
That makes me
yeah.
feel a little bit
That,
better.
that that something like that I think happened in the comics as well, because comics.
So let's see. Toughen him up. We meet young Calypso, whose grandmother introduces her to the mystical power of tarot cards, which Calypso's parents dismiss as superstition. After reading Calypso's future, the grandmother warns her of an impending danger and entrusts her with a vial of a mysterious potion inscribed with the symbol of Papa Legba. None of that I don't think is necessary to the plot here, but I guess she is Haitian, and this is voodoo. Papa Legba is a voodoo priest, from my memory.
Right.
So like there's a bunch of lore there that he just yada yada. Like, oh, by the way, you know, it's like, by the way, this symbol means Mephistopheles, but don't ask any questions here. Take it and give
No,
it
no,
to
no, no. Here,
the
here you
first
go. Here you
person you
go.
see, you know. But she's like, yeah, take it. And you'll to protect it, and you'll need it one day. Meanwhile, Nikolai drills his brutal philosophy to his sons, and he smears animal blood on Sergei's forehead as part of a hunting ritual or something. He's like, yo, come over here. This is why we must hunt. This guy was
Yeah.
more craven than anybody else in the damn movie.
He
Nikolai
was. He
was
was
more.
to me. he should have been Kraven.
Old man
He should
Kraven.
he should have been Kraven. But the entire time too, though, I just couldn't get past the idea that that you're really Zeus.
I was thinking that too. And
Because
you can
his Russian accent is not very much different than his Greek accent. It's
no,
terrible.
you can very much tell that it's put on. And I mean, they must have backed up the truck for Mr. Crow for this,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's nothing here. But his I like him as a character, but it's a very thin character. But most characters in here are extremely thin. Um, yeah, I'm like the blood thing, very strange. It's clear that he sees Dmitri, who isn't his biological son, as the weaker of the two, and treats him with disdain. Nikolai reveals that he has come to hunt a legendary lion known for killing hunters. He says if he kills a legend, he becomes a legend.
Right.
During the hunt, Sergei and Dmitri wander off and stumble upon the actual lion. Sergei hesitates to take the shot, forcing Nikolai to fire, which enrages the beast. The lion mauls Sergei, dragging him off and leaving him for dead. I laughed in this moment because
I'm not gonna one.
they're
The
just
special effects
romantic
look
eye to
so.
eye. Oh yeah, the lion wasn't even there, and so I mean, not to say that they had to have an actual lion in studio, but they could
And
have
not
like
just that,
cleaned
but
it up a
just
little bit.
this to me looked like a prison lion. This lion was so brolic. I feel like it
Yeah,
should have came out like with a dumbbell. Like I'm
yeah,
serving 20.
yeah.
You know,
And and like I said,
what are
like
you
this is
doing?
it's the lion of lions. It eats hunters, and no one could find it, but they find it. Okay, fine. And then like they're doing the stare down again. He's staring down this lion, and
In the jungle.
who
It
knows
was
what would have
Mufasa.
happened?
You know what it is?
Yeah, right.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Marvel somehow was like, hey man, we need some cross promotion. So this is Mufasa's coming out soon. So help us out. Help us out.
Yeah, put Mufasa on. Hey, it's going around. Put Mufasa in your movie. Scar was in Hercules. Hercules had Zeus in it. Zeus is Russell Crowe, bro. What is it? 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So yeah, like the viciousness in which this lion attacks Sergey absolutely it made me laugh. I don't know why. I guess I've never seen a main character just get manhandled, mauled by a lion before. But not only is he mauled by this lion, but everyone around him is absolutely useless. No one is able to stop this lion, and he basically does what the hell he wants with Sergey before dragging him off and leaving him for dead. Calypso finds Sergei on the brink of death after his mauling. She gives him the mystical potion, saving his life. Sergei is later airlifted to a hospital where he makes a miraculous recovery, baffling the doctors. Rather than showing concern, Nikolai berates Sergei for his weakness, blaming him for nearly getting Dmitri killed. You want to talk about the potion?
Yeah, I mean, the potion reminded me of his origin, you know,
Right.
because
Yes.
in his origin, that's how he gets his and enhanced reflexes and strength and animal like abilities.
He
But
drinks
in
prime.
this, it was what
So he drinks prime. he
drinks prime,
becomes.
right? He drinks
he
prime.
becomes
Thanks, Logan Paul.
yeah, yeah.
As a but in this, it's such a forced plot device. It's
But also not, right? Because eventually he's like, "Yo, where'd you get that from?" And she's like, "I don't got no more." How do you make it? I don't know. It was my grandmother's. So it all goes nowhere. And this is tinfoil hat, right? I believe there was no potion in this because from what I remember from the trailer, and everyone laughed at it. He gets mauled by the lion, and then lion's blood goes in his blood, and then he
yeah,
has powers.
yeah,
Remember that? You remember that?
right, yeah, and that
I
happens
think
here.
it does, but I think that when people laughed at it, they were like, "Well, what is it? What? Why is everyone laughing at the magic lion's blood? What happens in the comics? Oh, he drinks a potion. We could do that too. We could put the potion in there too as well because it is the combination of the two, right? It's a combination of the lion's blood going into his holes and him drinking this potion. I guess it's the right cocktail to get superpowers or something. Um,
It was just so bad.
I loved his dad going into the hospital. Like we're gonna keep him around for a couple of days to observe. Oh, we're going home. You're a failure. Get out of here. We're going home. Uh, So Nikolai, when they get home, coldly warns Sergei that strength is necessary if he is to inherit the family empire. To drive home his twisted lessons, Nikolai reveals that he killed the lion and mounted his head, an act meant to teach his sons. Enraged by his father's cruelty, Sergei unleashes a violent, almost primal outburst that shocks even Nikolai. But he also came across as a little kid. He's like, "You should have died," or something like that, right? That's what he
Yeah, yeah,
says.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Shame on
Mm-hmm.
you!" And then he like runs away.
It reminded me of it reminded me of what's the Johnny Cash movie?
Oh, I walk the line.
Walk the line
The
where
wrong
the
son died.
pops
The
is all
wrong kid
mad,
died.
the wrong sound dad, and
The
then
wrong kid
but
died.
then this handled it so poorly. It reminded me more of Walk Hard, the way they
Yes,
handled it
yes.
there.
But he's always just saying it.
Yeah.
By the way, the wrong kid died. Uh, Absolutely ridiculous. And then like disgusted by his father and terrified of his growing abilities, Sergei flees to a wildlife sanctuary in Russia, a place once owned by his late mother. Before leaving, Dmitri begs Sergei not to abandon him with Nikolai. Sergei, however, confesses that he's been experiencing animal like abilities, enhanced senses, strength, agility, and must figure out what's happening to him. He says goodbye to his brother and departs, determined to find answers. I don't know why he could not take Dmitri with him.
No, it's just they need to set up the twist later on, which you
Is a
kind of already
twist? Is
gave
it a
away.
twist? And another
You
thing
know,
is, um, I almost felt like Dimitri knew that. Dimitri's like, don't leave me here. Like, you now have a purpose and you've now decided that you're gonna leave. Don't leave me here. And he like does his big like, well, I'm gonna do this. I got to do this, and I'm going there, whatever. And he says like, that doesn't make it right. Like, what? No, like still, like just because you have a reason doesn't mean that you should leave. And he does leave. I think anything that happens to him after this, or if any sour grapes that Dimitri has is valid. If you are leaving because you interpret that your dad is this controlling monster, then leaving your brother behind, especially when you know how much he disdains him, I don't know. That's a criminal offense, in my opinion. Kraven should have bit his dad or something, and then ran off with
well,
Dimitri.
it
You know?
is time.
Yeah, bite around the ankle or something.
Like a cat,
Yeah,
scrape his shins and whatnot. I
do
think
something.
I think it's like you said, or at least this is one of the aspects of the story I dug. They're showing that hey man, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and even in some of the spoiler talk for this movie, they did state that this is a villain origin story. So you're not supposed to at the end of this look at this guy and go, "Oh, I'm supposed to root for him." This is I think Sony's built a further building up a villain of their villain world for their eventual Sinister Six, which we all know is going to happen. Not.
I have a controversial statement about the Sinister Six. I don't think they should be built up because if ultimately you build up six individuals to then get their ass whooped by one man, I don't. I think
Talk about
that
a letdown.
yeah,
Talk about a letdown. Yo, these
that's
six guys are going to take down Spider Man.
right. You
Nope.
just 2 hours of Craven, 2 hours of Morbius, 2 hours of Vulture, 2 hours, and then they all get to New York
And then an
City, and
hour
this
of them getting
16
their
year old
asses beat.
yeah, just whoops on them. Goes old Capoeira, throws a what's Craven gonna do when a manhole cover comes at him at 500 miles an hour? You understand? Like it's a wrap. It's a wrap. My man's gone. So yeah, hilarious. But at the sanctuary, you probably could cut all this too. Sergey discovers an uncanny bond with the animals. They recognize him. They leave him unharmed during a stampede. Like, yeah, I guess you can kind of yada yada through all that, or make a montage or something.
Yeah.
Um, However, his newfound peace is shattered when he encounters hunters celebrating their kills. Disgusted, Sergei methodically slaughters the entire group with his bare hands, unleashing his growing rage. And I don't know how we're supposed to feel about that. I guess pro animal in that moment. Um, yeah, in the present day, Sergei, now going by Kraven, has fully embraced his identity as a hunter and predator. Living off the land, he hunts criminals he deems worthy of his wrath. When Dmitri calls, inviting him to London for his birthday, Craven's longing to reconnect with his brother becomes clear. The next day, Kraven single handedly takes down an ivory poaching convoy, allowing only their leader, Andre, to escape. Andre flees to his boss, only to find Kraven waiting for him, seated in the boss's chair with a crossbow in hand. Kraven reveals that he's already killed the boss and taken a dossier filled with the names of poachers, arms dealers, and traffickers, his new prey. He calmly adds Andre's name to the list before killing him with a well placed bolt. So I like this scene. I think this is one of the like most kind of sort of charismatic, like cool for cool sake scenes. Like taking down this convoy and then meeting him at the meeting him at the place and sitting in the boss's chair with the crossbow. But this was like a scene that needed a movie. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
this felt
yeah.
like someone different wrote this scene, brought it to the group, and they were like, "Yeah." I mean, I don't know how it connects to everything else, but we'll find a way to connect it to everything else, and it's connected very thinly. But I dug like the whole like, what's your name? Looking down the list or whatever, and then oh, I got it. Oh, cross that one out. Where's my boss? You're stepping in him. I like those little
Mhm.
things there.
Yeah.
It would fly close to greatness, but overall, but like ultimately never really get there. But what do you think about this scene of him single handedly taking down the convoy?
No, it was this is they like you said before, they could have cut out so much getting up to this point and it would have made this feel more. But because so much nothing happens to get to this point, it was underwhelming because I'm just so like, oh, something's finally happening, But that scene was cool with with the we he crossbows the two guys. That was cool, and then the convoy takedown. Yeah, I mean he's he's funny. He's biting someone in this scene, right? He jumps
Yeah.
into the cab of the truck. He's mauling into him. It's just like, oh, this is cool. This is all right. We're getting into the meat of it, so to speak, just like he is
Mm,
in this scene. I enjoyed these action sequences because they could have just cut out all this fluff to get to these points. Because even the action sequence later on, I had a blast with like I kind of spoiled a little earlier. It had those tones of Bullet Train in
yeah.
it because it's like they saw that movie and they were like, "Yo, throw this guy in a lion suit and we got
We'll
ourselves
figure
a
it out.
Craven
Yeah,
movie.
we'll
We'll
figure it out.
figure it out." And don't get me wrong, that's another thing. I really wanted that suit looked great. They did a hell of a job making that suit, and we get it for what 12 seconds.
Seeing as we're in spoiler territory, like I said, I just finished rewatching it for notes for the second time, and it's so funny to me that quite literally the promotional footage of this film is the last shot of this movie. All the scenes that you see of him sitting pondering his destiny on the throne is the very last scene of this movie, which is ultimately a fashion montage of him putting on the vest, checking himself out in the mirror. Then the film is over. So this idea that we were all like promised this at least comic accurate lion vest, only to get it literally in the last 30 seconds of
Yeah.
this movie. I'm assuming that's how Supernatural or not Smallville fans felt when we didn't get the S until
Ooh,
until the very end.
we never got a full body shot of him in that costume.
No, no.
Nope.
uh, so yeah, Craven tracks down Calypso at her friend's funeral. Now a lawyer, Calypso recognizes Craven as the boy she once saved. He reveals
And
that
why this is where she shows up. I'm like, and here's more fluff of this person. The only thing if she would have just showed up to be like, oh yeah, let me explain why I gave you that, and let me help you understand what's happening to you. Nah,
she don't know.
nah.
That's the thing, like,
She doesn't know.
she
She's like,
don't
I don't
know.
know. My grandmother gave me this thing, and she
Yeah,
gave me these 3 playing cards. I
she should have
figured I
been like,
summoned Exodia.
she should have been like, it was a 50-50 chance you were gonna die with the whatever I gave you. I had no idea what that was.
That's right.
And my
I saw my
grandmother,
gra- I
she
saw
was a
my
bit of a
I saw.
drinker, so
I was gonna say. I was about to say. I was like, my grandmother kind of crazy. I think she put her dementia medicine in there. I don't
yeah,
know.
it was just Brugal. That's what Brugal does when you when you when you drink it after a lion's attack.
That's it. Mira, Vix, eso nada más que Vix. Ponelo,
Sana sana
ponelo encima
colita
del
de
pecho.
rana. That's it.
Tú estás bien.
It would
You
have
got
the
a bit
same
by a
effect.
lion. Tú estás. Mira, pone un
Stop
poquito de aquí,
crying,
aquí.
pero stop crying.
Ahí está crying. It's just a little bit of blood. It's just a little bit of blood. Jesus lost more blood than this. Eso, you're gonna be okay.
And he hears you crying.
And here's you crying. Él murió. He died for you. Don't you die.
Don't die, don't die. So he reveals that he avenged her friend's death by killing those responsible, a repayment for saving his life. That's in a rewrite somewhere. We're led to believe that he Googled her, the friend that died, why the friend died, went to a Russian prison, killed that man, and that man just also so happens to be the same guy that the Rhino is working for or working alongside, and thus creates this power vacuum. It's extremely coincidental, but as coincidental as him tracking her down at this funeral. I love that she's like, "You just had this card. How do you find me?" And I'm like, "Was he just, you know, was he like smelling the card from 16 years ago and hoping that it would get him to wherever he had to go?"
That's right. Thank God
Abs-
she uses the same soap.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Ridiculous. You're the this is the fifth funeral I've been to today. Thank God I found you. Been going to these all day.
Oh,
When she accuses him of becoming like his father, Craven counters that he's targeting men like Nikolai, criminals who deserve justice. In this moment, I had a thought, and I might have been a little bit inebriated when I had it, but
well, hey man, you got to get through this movie somehow, bro.
100%, 100. I took my potion, and while the DNA and the symbols and the lion's eye was opening up in my heart, the first thought I had, and it's so funny how my mind works, is okay, so you're not like your dad. You are not working for your dad's criminal empire. You are not, you know, you're not underneath that entire criminal enterprise. But you're killing men like your dad, which ultimately means you're killing your dad's competition, which ultimately means you're working for your fucking dad.
Right. And honestly, that part of the movie too, I was getting confused by. I'm like, wait, because this movie was so boring that it just lulled me into going, who's working with who? And wait, he's killing that guy, but that guy is working with him, but he got his own guy killed.
Yeah.
What? And then this guy seems, and then like when have we even got to the foreigner yet?
No, nope.
Like,
Not that we're not that far, but we haven't even got to him yet. But like I said, like I'm thinking there, I'm like, okay, so I won't work for my dad. I'll just kill all his enemies. I'll just kill everybody else but him. So
right,
then you are working for him. It may not seem like that, but it's ultimately what you're doing. You know? It's like, oh, I won't be a cop. I'll just apprehend and arrest criminals out there in the street. Well,
right.
you're
My
doing
dad, my
their
dad runs
job
a
for
criminal
them.
empire, and I'm against criminals, but I'm never
Yeah.
gonna arrest him.
No, just other criminal
Other
empires.
criminals,
And then that leaves your
right?
dad. He will be the
And then
last one
and
and
then
the
I
king of
confront my
everything.
dad. I confront my dad and go, you see, are you gonna change your ways now? No, I'm gonna
And
kill.
that makes sense, right? That makes sense if after the mauling he never saw his dad again. Right? I can't bring myself to kill my dad. I haven't seen my dad in 16 years. I can't bring myself to kill him. But no, they hang out every year.
That's
Every
right. I hang
year
out every year.
they sit and they talk and they chill and they drink and I guess
How you
karaoke and
like the
shit.
steak? How you like the
Yeah,
steak?
yeah. Kill anyone interesting lately? I have a new
Yeah, right.
enemy named blah blah blah. And that's probably what he was doing. Every time he
Well,
was
right,
at
right.
dinner,
Every year he's at the dinner table. He's like, man, this guy's really a thorn in my side.
yeah,
Man,
That Silver Sable character is getting
oh
so
my god,
crazy.
she's so
So
annoying.
Silver Sable, eh?
Silver Saber, you say? Yeah, I don't
I'll
know
be
what we're
right
ever
back.
gonna do.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Bro, you
There's
are
this
the
old guy.
worst.
There's this old guy with wings that flies around and steals my shit.
Yeah,
If
right.
only somebody would get rid of him.
He's like, oh, I'll be right back.
Vulture, you say? You know I like
Abs-
to hunt animals.
Absolutely ridiculous. You're a freelancer, bro. You didn't sign a contract, but you're doing the job, bro. So get paid for it. Um,
Who keeps
and
sending
then
me these bonuses?
I didn't even like how he was like, "You're a lawyer. How much work do you get done behind that desk?" I was like, yeah, I just met you, bro. This is the first conversation we've ever had. You're like, I saved your life. And he's like, yeah, like you should just be my informant. Like feed me my intel on my targets. And she's like, I guess I'm not doing anything this Saturday. I guess I'll do that. I guess I'll be part of your criminal enterprise, your one man criminal enterprise. Because guess what? Everything he is doing is criminal. So regardless of whether or not he's doing it for good or not, he is a criminal in this. And she's like, yeah, I guess. Meanwhile, Nikolai's old hunting partner, Alexei, has risen to power as a mob boss. I forgot to mention that earlier. Alexei had walked up to Nikolai and was like, "Yo, we should partner up." And he's like, "You are nameless, faceless, weak man, and I will never partner with you."
That's right.
And so he just put the pin in that. Forewarned that the hunter may come for him after the arms dealer's prison death, Alexei arranges a meeting to fill the void led by the dead gunrunner. The men mock his code name, the Rhino, but quickly regret it. Alexei removes a tube from his camelback, and his skin transforms into a tough rhino-like hide. When one man shoots him in panic, the bullets fail to penetrate. Reconnecting the tube, Alexei reverts to his human form, and his men execute the remaining survivors, except for one who pledges loyalty to the Rhino.
Yeah.
So Rhino.
This was yeah, is like wait, who came up with this version of the Rhino? The Rhino has been such a, in my opinion, prestigious villain and one that has undergone so many interesting uh it's like character arcs recently where you see his actual humanity. He's not just a glorified henchman.
Yeah.
And the writers just took the character and said, "Nah, let's just turn him into a wannabe crime boss."
Were they going like he's a hunter? What animal villains are left? Is that what they were
I
doing? Because
I
I would see
guess.
these guys being on the same team. Like, like I don't understand why they manufactured it as to why. But also like I'm gonna threaten you. Just give me 30 seconds. Just let me
Yeah, yeah,
pull
yeah,
this
exactly.
tool out. Give me about 30 seconds and I should be able to. Did he know that if he took like long exposure, like when he gets to the point at the end, if he and got it back in, would he just go right back to regular, or is it like too far gone at that point? What do you think?
The I think he knows at that point it's too far gone
When the
because
bones are protruding from his face, that's when everything's all said and done.
yeah, and again, when we get there, it was to me it was just upsetting. But it's like what is
His whole
happening
film
with
is
this
upsetting.
character?
His whole
What is
film
happening?
is
But
upsetting.
although I did like that dude embraced the ridiculousness of that character, that actor who he's been he's been in a bunch of things. He looked very familiar, and I liked that you can tell he just read the script, understood this character, and said, "Wow, this dude is nuts. This is a nuts character. So let's just roll with it." And
I
he
will
did.
s-
He
I
did.
will say that and I think that's a lot of what some of the charm behind this stuff is kind of leaning into that ridiculousness of it. When you're trying to play it super straight, but you're a man who has lion's blood in you, it just comes off as disingenuous because we all know that none of this is like super serious. But yeah, Alexi. Well, we had the actor, right? Um,
Yeah.
so he's known for playing. That's I've never seen any of those things. He was in Jurassic Park 3 as Billy Brennan. He was in American Hustle. He was in. I'm looking. I was gonna say he was in Kraven. He was in. I'm not seeing anything more that I know. That was not American Hustle, Howl, Coco before Chanel. No, any of this is. He was in Face Off. He is the brother of
Oh
Castor
yes, the
Troy.
brother of Castor. There it
He's the
is.
brother of Castor
There it
Troy in
is.
Face Off. That's where that very familiar face comes from. Um, I mean, he's just like he's so like he's the same villain, right? Like being mean with the dog and shit. Like he's the same like sort of mustache twirling, cackling villain. Vague foreign menace. Like you can't. He never says where he's from. Like he
He never says
never.
where he's from, and also what's his end game? Like, what is he trying to accomplish?
We
Just
don't know.
be a mustache. I'm a villain, and I'm I have power. Like
We're even led to believe about like that Kravinoff himself, Nikolai has this big outreaching empire, but we never see what that scope is. He's never shown to be a kind of person that on a hair trigger could get somebody killed, right? Like, what show of power did you see of Sergei in the or of Nikolai in this that shows how big his influence is on the world?
except for him basically owning that giant restaurant where people are trying to constantly go to kill him.
And he's not
Nothing.
even good enough to stop that. Like he gets out of the way of it, but that a man doesn't come into the restaurant with a gun. If you run the restaurant, you remember how was it it's Maroni, right? Deals with Batman when he goes to the Narrows. Batman, like
Yes.
Bruce Wayne tries to
Mhm.
talk all tough with him. He gets him like beat up and thrown into an alley. Like that's
Get out of here, kid.
yeah, like that's the kind of confidence and power you're supposed to wield in this. And Sergei's left flat-footed. Okay. So Rhino sends his new ally, the guy he just made a deal with, uh, to Nikolai with a deal. But it's a setup intended to eliminate Kraven, or Kraven off. The attempt fails, but Rhino discovers Sergei is the hunter and hires a mysterious assassin known as the Foreigner to kill him. The Foreigner, introduced investigating the criminal, the Russian prison from earlier, uses his deadly ocular hypnosis to disorient and eliminate a guard, establishing his dangerous abilities. And I say ocular hypnosis because Wikipedia said ocular hypnosis because it's never explained outwardly what the hell this man is doing, except that he needs his eyes to do it. And he counts
Right.
when he does it. One, two. I'm going behind
Well,
you and unplugging
because
your mic. Three,
in
four.
in yeah, in the comics, the bigger feature of the Foreigner is the fact that he's essentially a bad Batman. He's the
Okay.
utmost peak human. Like
Hmm.
he's the fastest, the strongest, the smartest that a regular human could possibly be. with absolutely zero. No, there's no super soldier serum. There's nothing like that. But then they also threw in this weird power for him where for 10 seconds he can hypnotize people
Five,
and
bro.
five
5 seconds.
seconds.
He never counts
Wow.
past four. One,
No, but in the comics,
two.
in the
Oh, oh,
comics it's
oh.
10.
Okay, so in here they made it even worse for him here. he
Yeah,
only can,
yeah,
he only
yeah.
can count to four, and then
But what's funny is
it's over.
that's one of those powers that I cannot remember the last time they featured in the comics because I guess they realize it's stupid.
Like I said, no one ever says what it is. Why can't it? It can still be super speed. Like I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's looking at you, and then he's seemingly able to outmaneuver you or get ahead of you.
Well, that was one of the gags in the comics too. It was the idea that since no one else knew what was going on, they thought he had super speed,
Right,
and then it turned out it's like, oh no, you're messing. You have like some low level telepathy almost. It seems,
right. Just Radio
like
Shack.
it's literally it's one of those things that I cannot remember the last time they even brought it up. And there was a
Right.
point in time in recent Spider-Man history where there was a lot of Foreigner, and how to remember them even bringing it up in that.
No. Craven eventually travels to London for Dimitri's birthday, an annual tradition. The brothers reconnect through their strained relationship, although their strained relationship is evident. Restless that night, Craven takes a walk, unknowingly leaving Dimitri vulnerable. A group of mercenaries kidnap Dimitri, and Craven gives chase on foot, taking down several attackers before being outgunned as they escape in a helicopter. Um, this scene felt long because I knew that they were gonna have him. Does that make sense? Like I knew they were gonna get him. There's no scene where he kind of gets kidnapped and Craven on foot runs, gets him out of the helicopter, and was like, "Woo, that was close." Like
That was
that's not.
close. Thank God I saved my brother. It's like, no,
Yeah. This,
he's got to get away with this. But I did enjoy this. This
did
was
you?
the scenes where I enjoyed because it reminded me of Bullet Train.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
he's busting through the glass.
yeah.
I
High
liked when
octane.
he I liked when he basically like half tackles the car and it
Yeah,
spins. I thought that was
yeah.
pretty cool.
I like
So
his
I
getup
just
too.
dug this action scene.
I like his little business getup too. Like I thought that kind of worked for him. Um. Uh. And get just literally like strong arming the helicopter from the net, the little net thing,
Right,
jump
but
thing
see,
that has now.
but that's where the unoriginal comes in because when I was watching it, it made me
Captain
go,
America.
You guys watch Captain America.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yep, yep. Ah. Uh, so the next day, Craven learns Rhino orchestrated Dimitri's abduction and demands a ransom. One Nikolai refuses to pay, declaring it a matter of power, not money. The funny thing about this is he's like, Dimitri's basically dead. When they took him, he was basically dead the moment that they took him. And Craven, with the acting ability of a bag of salt, says, "You don't know that.
You don't know
You
that.
got to pay the ransom." And I'm like, yo, come on, pick it up here, pick it up. Somebody in the
Right?
room.
Nothing. Like, do you like? You sure you care? Because it doesn't. It
No,
sounds like you kind of happy. Oh man, he was such a pain in the ass anyway. But let me play it up. Oh, you sure? You
yeah,
sure? Let me make it. Let me make this. Let me finish making this BLT real quick.
yeah, just like sleepwalking through the scenes, sleepwalking through his lines. Um, so frustrated and enraged, Craven decides to act alone. With Calypso's help, he tracks down one of Dimitri's kidnappers. However, it's a trap. The foreigner has fed Craven false intel, sending him directly into an ambush, showing how helpful Calypso is.
I'm telling you, man, this character was pointless.
Like
Absolutely
the
pointless.
one man she got intel on
Worthless.
gets gunned down by the foreigner later on. Yeah. So, and the thing is, Craven is basically impenetrable in this. He's basically unbeatable in this. And then he gets like one moment of like doubt, and he gets saved. And then we're back to nothing could beat him. So it's very strange. Because there's never any, to me, there was never any danger. Like, to me, I'm never like, oh, damn, that was close. He almost fucking got. There's a time where he
I
gets an avalanche falls on him, and I'm like, that's
I know,
surely the end of this character.
and he's like swiping it like just yeah,
Boulders.
that rock could go that way, boom, boom.
I'm
It's
like,
okay. No,
surely
like
this is the
yo,
end of Craven.
even the dude he falls with survives, and
Yeah.
they bounce off a wall.
He like
But
rides
man,
him down the hill.
yeah, I was so upset by that. I really wanted him to take that dude because when they shoot the
RPG, the
the
rocket
R the
launcher.
RP the RPG at him, I thought he was gonna throw him at the
I thought
RPG.
so too. I thought he was gonna like pick him up, throw him, and then still like leap off, but like let
Yeah,
that capture majority of it.
it's just
It would have been
boom.
funny if he would have got back down there still holding like the collar, and there would have been no head. Like, wait, where's the me? Oh, sorry about that.
A quiet one, huh? Tight lips on you, huh?
What kind of hunter gets tricked like this? What kind of hunter can't suss this out? Needs the information from a working lawyer, with a part time job to get this information. Absolutely ridiculous. Um, Craven infiltrates the mercenary stronghold, taking down multiple foes in brutal fashion. Just as victory seems within reach, an RPG is fired at him, sending Craven plummeting a
Oh,
great distance. Rocks and debris collapse on him, leaving him seemingly crushed and defeated. But
oh,
when
oh.
Rhino's men survey the area, looking for proof of Craven's death, the hunter kills them all and escapes.
Pebbles,
Yeah,
man, pebbles,
just
pebbles.
pebbles.
A
Uh,
little. It reminded me of what's that crappy rock attack in Pokemon that old like Geodude
yeah,
does,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like Rock Storm or whatever.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like oh
He
no.
he just shrugs it off. Um, yep. Back with Rhino, he reveals to Dimitri that Sergei was never the intended target. Rhino had been hunting. Sorry that Dimitri was never the intended target. Rhino had been hunting Sergei. With Sergei missing, Dimitri became a convenient pawn. To rattle Dmitri further, Rhino shows footage of from the Russian hospital exposing Sergei as the hunter. Dmitri, stunned, struggles to process this truth. This is a trope that me and John Escudero, aka Yogi, are always laughing about. The whole, you think the hunter's real? The hunter's a myth. Bro, you just saw him transform into like a half rhino man. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, what? Of course, this is real. And again, like, what are we supposed to take? Is it just the brutality? Like, why does Dimitri care that Craven is the hunter? Why is he seemingly betrayed in this moment where he's like, that can't be. That's not surrogate. What am I missing here? What betrayal is it? It's just the violence. Like, you're like dad, you kill people, you regardless
Right,
of whether or
right.
not they're good or bad. Because I didn't feel him in this moment, and this is supposed to be like a aha moment. Like he's like, oh, you don't think he's the? Let me show you. Wait till the ending. It's my favorite part.
Oh
Is
yeah,
what he
yeah, yeah,
says.
yeah. And he zeroes in on his face, makes it all dramatic.
Zoom and
You
enhance.
never
Zoom and
noticed. You ever
enhance.
noticed? You never noticed that your brother has a penchant for just being jacked. And
You
how
know.
many times there were so many times in this movie where I felt like I was watching a Spider-Man movie because this freaking guy climbs on everything.
Yes, he does. um. But like I feel like even with that, this whole idea, like I liked. Then they were like touching on something here too. This idea like Rhino always feeling weak, Dimitri kind of the weaker person, but he should have taken on this conversation more. And the ending with the gun should have been pointed at Sergey. Thus, the twist would make more sense, in my opinion. Like
Right.
it got to
Yeah.
him here, you
Yep.
know,
Yep. That
and
makes
then
sense.
hey, get out of here. And you know what, brother, I won't hurt you, so I am gonna get out of here. And then the next time they meet, guess what's happened? In a full year, things have changed, kind of
Right.
stuff. But he's like, no, I'll never, I'll never betray my family. Rhino then shares his own backstory. Once plagued by a debilitating medical condition, he spent years searching for a cure. Eventually, he turned to a scientist named Miles Warren.
Worthless
They
Easter
just
egg.
dropped
Worthless Easter egg,
the
man.
freaking jackal out of nowhere. They just, by the way, the guy known for one of the most infamous Spider-Man arcs in the history. What is it? Year-long arc in the history of
Year
Spider-Man. Multiple
longer,
year
man.
long arc in Spider-Man is just kind of like the throw it in there. Uh, and the funny thing
I could
is,
I could I could imagine the writers' room at that point, and when they originally wrote this script, being like, "Yo, this is gonna lead to the next thing. It's gonna be
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Sony universe is where it's at." That
But
same guy now is drinking a beer. Just, oh my god, they ruined it. James Gunn, are you hiring? Can I come over
terrible.
there?
But the thing is, like, how schizophrenic? Because that sets up, like you just said, that sets up so much. Miles Warren can create the Rhino and a whole bunch of villains. If you just want to make a bunch of science-based villains or tech-based villains, you could blame it all on Miles Warren. He could be like the anti-Nick Fury, right? Assembling his own monsters to attack. But now we're creating another set of villains for the villain origin stories that you are making that are eventually going to fight Spider-Man. It doesn't make any sense. We're going to have another Sinister Six that's going to fight these anti-heroes. Very strange stuff. But yeah, Miles, yeah, just drop a random Miles Warren. Those experiments transformed him, granting him immense strength and skin as tough as a rhino's hide. The serum that keeps the effects in check is stored in the tubes connected to his backpack, making him both a monster and a man. He tells
Which I'm wondering
Dimitri,
how much serum can possibly fit in that little camel bag.
yeah, and he's having a blast. Like, what if someone shoots the camelback?
It's
You
just
get
out in
shot
the
at quite
open.
often. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are a mob boss. Um, none of it's explained. He tells Dimitri that there is an animal in all of us and makes offers to help him dethrone his father. Dimitri refuses to betray his family. This is my favorite part. He's like, I'm not going to help you. And the first thing Rhino does is go behind him and point a gun to his head. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, things have escalated very quickly here. This guy was still supposed to be a pawn for the whole Kraven thing. But once he says he's not going to be on the team, he's like, oh, well, I just might as well shoot him in
well,
the
time
head.
for you to go, man.
Shoot him
You're
in the
either
head
with
point
us
blank.
or you're against us.
But thing is, he's interrupted by the news that Kraven is still alive. Just then, the foreigner arrives to join the party. Why did we need that scene? And I love that
Yeah,
even
that's
the
what I'm
Rhino's
saying.
like, that
And
was cute.
watching that scene, I'm sitting there going, "Wait a minute, what team is he on?" And he just set up that henchman to basically shoot his own brains out. So
And the Rhino just says,
who?
that's cute. And that's it. That's
That's it, right?
yeah. Um Kraven brings Calypso to his sanctuary to ensure her safety, I think, I guess. I kind of missed the part where I know there's a part where he warns her that they'll be coming after everyone that he cares about, and some guys show up at her job. But I don't remember them linking up. I just remember them going to his sanctuary. You want to talk about parts that make no sense? Why the hell did they add the part where he gets attacked by a cheetah?
Oh my god, that was so dumb. I was sitting there going, "All right, we've got the animal stuff pretty well established. Why are we throwing in a throwaway scene. Oh, why? Because the entire movie has been doing this already. Because he
Yes.
encounters this leopard, and another. Apparently, it's on the same training program as that lion from earlier in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Because this thing was huge and just jacked. Like leopards don't get that big,
Huge.
and
Huge.
and it was just like, and then they played it off like a cutesy scene. Oh, I remember when that leopard was so much smaller. Where he was like my pet. We used to play
Well,
around.
it,
Like,
it went for like the jungular, and then he like flips it on, like he wrestles it, and then he's like, "You don't hunt me." And then the thing's like, "Yeah, you're right," and he just walks away.
I was like,
Uh, and I'm like, it, I thought it would have been way more interesting if you found out that perhaps the rhino was like dosing animals in the animal kingdom and they're acting weirder. They're just acting weird.
yeah,
And they may have turned on him, and now he has to possibly put down some of the animal friends that he's had before. Talk about a heartbreaking story, right?
right.
Um, you know,
Jumbo, no, not
here's
Jumbo.
my first friend. Damn it.
Oh, damn it,
No,
man.
no, that was just a scene. They just had a CGI leopard on deck. Um, Back with Rhino, he asks the foreigner why he has such a hard on for Kraven, and the mysterious hitman confesses that Kraven murdered his brother, who was also his mentor. Since then, he has traveled the world and has been following him everywhere he went, and has deduced that Kraven has no weaknesses besides Dimitri. He says that his brother is a big hitman. Am I supposed to know who this man is? Is he like the stranger or whatever? Who's the foreigner's brother?
Hmm. I didn't even catch that line,
Uh,
but
I remember
I'm
because
not
he's
even.
like I thought they were gonna say, "Oh yeah," like and say a name, but they never do. And then you
I'm,
look at a
I'm
hitman, and you look at a newspaper article, and it says the hunter catches the hitman or something. So it's never like directly stated. Nope, nope, nope. Every,
I'm checking it. I'm trying to see. I'm not noticing anything because I don't recall him being related to anyone. Nah, is nope.
I'm trying to see real
Not
quick if I could find anything. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, he never says where he got his powers from, and yeah, he just says that Kraven killed his mentor in jail, and I it's never alluded to who the hell that man is, but they made it seem like it was a big deal, and like I said, it was even on the front page of the paper. But la, 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 the foreigner also deduces that Kraven is in Siberia. Speaking of which, Kraven asks Calypso what was in the potion she gave him, and that saved his life and possibly gave him powers. Calypso doesn't know, but knew that it would save his life. But she also wonders if it has saved his life, given what his life is now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It wasn't the potion. The potion was just Gatorade because you look
Yes,
dehydrated.
yes,
The
yes, yes.
lion, the lion
The
bled into your
lion blood,
wound.
and
And I
that
don't know if
plus
you know, but
electrolytes.
they built a nuclear power plant nearby.
Yes, and
That's why that lion was
he's a
so
radioactive lion.
mutated. That
Yeah, yeah.
mutated.
He was on growth hormone. I said horse
HGH,
hormones.
LGH, LGH, lion
Yes,
growth hormone.
yes. And I like this conversation is supposed to be like like making him question. He has no doubts. At one point he's like, I'm the best hunter ever. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I don't care. Like he literally tells her, like, I don't know why you're worried. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. Can't no one track me. Can't no one stop me. And she's like, okay. She mentions there's no more potion as her grandmother died shortly after Craven was saved, and tells him that she is concerned with his path in life, but he's unbothered. He's like, yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Um, and
I
in
hate,
this
I hate,
moment,
I hate my dad, but the idea of you telling me I'm becoming like my dad doesn't seem to bother me.
no, and also like you could tell that these scenes are set up to have like some kind of romantic chemistry or some kind of thing, and I'm just not buying it. There
None,
hasn't been enough
none.
groundwork done.
I I didn't even feel it. Like I felt just she might as well have been his sidekick,
Yeah.
just some sidekick. His really crappy Robin.
Yes. Craven gets a call from the Rhino asking him to betray his father. Oh, sorry, we disconnected for a second. The Rhino fire bombs the area, and Craven manages to barely escape the blast radius, but he is hit with a dart.
Yeah, and he's all, oh,
But
What's
like, where did he
happening?
get hit with it? Like, so like they're like, oh, firebomb the area, he'll run away, and I'll just hide in this bush.
That must have been like an adam. That must have been like an adamantium tip dart, man. Because this dude's deflecting fire bombs and boulders, but little dart.
Yeah,
Oh,
got him. And so yeah, gets hit by the dart. It causes him to hallucinate. The foreigner comes out of the shadows and hits him with several more darts, poisoning our hero. With the neurotoxin coursing through his veins, or Kraven's veins, the foreigner brutally attacks the hunter while taunting him, but doesn't matter. Calypso shoots him with an arrow, kills him. So there's that threat.
that's
She
it.
also, and also she has super cure on her at the time. So here's your
Of course.
Vicks, and hey,
Yeah, right.
Craven, and Craven's
It's
back in
her.
action.
It's her grandmother's. It's her grandmother's
Recipe,
recipe.
the
Yeah,
recipe. Craven confronts the villains by unleashing a stampede. But instead of just saying, "Hey animals, trample this man to death," he's like, "Hey animals, like surround us." Like make this a cool looking set piece. The battle,
exactly.
the battle escalates as the Rhino charges in, going full beast mode. He unplugs, and now he's fully Rhino in jeans. Really funny stuff.
Yeah, right.
He
I'm
and
gonna
Craven,
rhino out.
yeah,
Rhino out. Urgh.
ridiculous, getting horny.
Rhino smash.
Uh,
Yeah,
he,
right.
he and Craven engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, with the Rhino shrugging off almost every attack. The tide finally turns when Craven targets the spot where Rhino serum is injected, stabbing him in there. The attack forces the Rhino to revert to his human form, leaving him vulnerable. Just as Craven seems to have won, Dimitri arrives, ready to kill the Rhino. However, Craven persuades Dimitri to spare him. Like I said again, this should have been Dimitri pointing it at Craven.
I
Uh,
felt like the rhino was gonna die anyway, man. That dude got trampled by a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
and
freaking
drug
bison
around
and
like
whatnot.
he like ties that rope around him and like one of the wildebeest or whatever, and he's like getting drug
Yeah.
around and stuff. And
And then he starts reverting back to human. I'm like, I
I like that
think
he's
you're
like, I
going to
wish I
die.
never would have met you, motherfucker.
They should have never given you nigga
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, that's what it was. I never gave
Fuck
y'all
your couch.
serums. Yeah,
Fuck your couch.
that's the vibes I was getting. Um, uh, yeah. So determined to confront his father, Craven seeks out Nikolai, who reveals that he had set the rhino on him. Nikolai hoped Craven would eliminate the rhino, proving his worth and getting the rhino out of his way. He then offers Craven a chance to rule alongside him as father and son in this crime dynasty. Instead of accepting, Craven walks away. A bear's roar echoes in the distance, and Nikolai instinctively tries to shoot it, only to discover that Craven had removed the bullets from his gun. The bear attacks and kills Nikolai as Craven coldly walks away. Uh, I
And
mean,
what a crappy hunter.
but also
And not just
like,
that, he's
oh yeah, yeah,
surrounded
yeah.
by guns. He's surrounded by guns. And he's, oh, I'm missing the two bullets from this one gun. What do I
Yeah,
do?
no
Grab
knife in
another
the
gun, man.
boot, no
No
knife in the
knife.
boot, or dagger in the belt line, or any of that kind of stuff. And I was like, if he didn't have the shotgun, it was a wrap.
Like
Um,
after all is said and done, you are a pretty crappy hunter, man.
and also, isn't the like irony like, wouldn't it be more ironic if it was a lion?
Right,
Like, isn't that the
right.
whole point? Isn't that the whole motif of all this stuff? Um, and I thought just crossed my mind, so I'm gonna put a pin in that. On Dimitri's next birthday, Craven visits his bar. Dimitri reveals that his brother sought the same doctor who enhanced the rhino. Despite his earlier promise to abandon their father's ways, Dimitri is now following in Nikolai's footsteps. He confronts Craven, accusing him of being no better than their father and calling him just another man chasing trophies. As Dimitri storms off, Craven follows, only to see that Dimitri's face shifts, morphing into an exact replica of Craven's, without the replica of the body, which just made him look like a weird bobble-headed bastard. These powers won't work if the rest of you can't transform. You understand that, right? If you transform into a woman's face but the rest of your body doesn't, and you're still a very weak little Russian boy, it's not gonna work. Because that, like, how could you be intimidated when his face transforms into Craven's? I laughed. Oh, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on here? And it just looks so janky. I wouldn't be surprised if this was
No,
something that they put on the last minute.
wait, yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it because to me this should have been a reveal like in the middle of the movie. The fact that they saved it for the end was why, and like you said, it looked terrible. It looked terrible because I think he did he basically turn into Kraven because it looked awful.
Yeah, let's turn to Kraven. He turned to
Yeah,
Kraven,
I'm
but
like,
I said, but he had Kraven's big head and his little ass body. He looks like
yeah,
a weird looking
even
man.
the hair, like it looked bad.
And but Kraven's like,
Oh my
and by
god!
the way, this is out on the street full of people. People are walking past him as he's just switching faces. No
Yeah,
one's
but
bothered.
In Russia, like everybody has this. It's a regular thing. It's a regular thing.
God, you know
Whatever,
how
man.
much
It's like
you know how much I would have given for David Harbour to just show up here as the Red Guardian and beat the living hell, just beat the living hell out of all these guys.
would have been nice.
My dogs are hungry. That's basically Craven. That guy was more Craven than this dude here.
I know.
My dogs are hungry. So switching faces, Dimitri reveals also like another comic book movie trope. I hate the constant like name drops until the reveal. It's like, oh, my son, he can sing like anyone. He is like chameleon, you know? Like,
Yeah,
well, you know,
yeah.
that what that says, that's also says I'm like a chameleon.
Bing.
And then now here, Dimitri reveals his ability to mimic everyone's appearance and declares himself the chameleon. And he vows to
Right.
pick up where their father left off. A lot of angst, seemingly for no reason. A lot of like just
And
this,
where exactly did your dad leave off? A pretty crappy hunter. I'm now gonna go venture into Siberia and find that bear.
yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
And what like you do the same speech that the rhino does and you get capped because you have no skin, no hardened skin. You've also been portrayed as very weak, so nothing has changed about you except your ability to camouflage. And by the way, camouflage is not an offensive move, it's a
Right.
defensive move.
It's a
It's a
cowardly
defensive
thing.
move. So how are you going to reign supreme as this like
Right.
crime kingpin? Absolutely ridiculous.
I'm gonna go to Hell's Kitchen and I'm gonna
Yeah.
put on the face of the kingpin.
And then he's like, I
I'm
hate
gonna
you.
really fool and I'm gonna fool people.
With his little ass body, big ass head, his little Funko Pop body.
Where's Vanessa? You're not the kingpin. Yes, I am. Look at my face.
Look at
No, no, you're
me.
not.
Don't look down.
No.
um, and then he's like, I hate you. I'm doing everything against your will, and you suck. Oh, Dad left you a box in the if you want to get the garage.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Dad
man,
left
can you
you a
get it out of there,
box.
man? I can't afford to ship it to you, and to
Yeah.
destroy it would cost way too much money. And it looks pretty nice. It
And
looks
it
pretty
doesn't
nice.
really
I
matter.
think
I'm not going straight home after this, so you'll have the house to
right.
yourself. Just
Yeah, the
go
host
in,
itself.
try it
I
on.
left there's some leftover spaghetti. Feel free.
Yeah, yeah. Go and try it on, see how it fits. So later, Craven opens a mysterious. I had to put later because it doesn't say when. Later, Craven opens a mysterious box left by his father. Inside, he finds a lionskin vest. As he puts it on and looks at himself in a mirror, ominous music swells and the film ends.
Thank God. He looked good. It looked good.
That was
It looked good.
the ending shot of this is the poster. The idea again that the you look at the poster and go, that looks cool. And you don't get that cool look until the end of the film. Also, if he is like a weird, like pro animal environmentalist, whatever the heck, surely I'll put it this way. If I was trying to ingratiate myself to, let's say, my fellow Hispanics, right, as a Puerto Rican, and I'm like, I want to lead my Puerto Rican brethren, I'm here to defend you. But I'm wearing the skin of Puerto Ricans as I'm talking to you and telling you this. Are you going to believe me?
Like, I like what he's saying, but there's something that I just can't trust about
Some,
this guy.
just literally like this.
Can't can't quite put my finger on it.
He's like, don't worry,
Don't
lions.
know.
You guys will all be safe with me. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
bro,
The lions are all back in the savannah. Go.
like, is that Timothy? I haven't seen Timothy in 3 weeks, bro. I think that's Timothy. And he's rocking
Yeah.
on his vest. I I I don't have words. There is no reason why this had to take 2 hours.
Nope.
Absolutely none.
None.
There is no joke in here that I laughed out loud with. There is no like I
Wait.
said,
I'm sorry. Stop. Well,
there was joke.
yeah. There was like The only thing I kind of found funny was when you see the two dudes crossbow to the doors. That
Yeah,
was about it.
yeah.
But besides that, I can't even think of something that was meant to be perceived even as remotely
I feel like him and
comedic.
the girl had like little choppy dialogue, but nothing else. Like, how charming, none of that stuff. Um, what about the bullshit lines that they gave the rhino of like, when a rhino sees prey, he just charge. Who talks like that?
Exactly. It's just like, man, you're nuts.
Yeah,
You're insane. You're
absolutely,
insane.
absolutely
We got it.
ridiculous. He has like a weird right hand man, like just some weird, vague, strange
Yeah,
right hand man that does nothing. Um,
kind of looks like Flash Tom the
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The
the Flash
Holland verse, the
Holland's
Holland verse.
the Holland versus Flash Thompson grown up.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, right? But the thing is, I felt like this movie was a bunch of well thought out scenes, and then they had to make a movie. And they were like, "Well,
Yeah,
we
they were
already
like, well, how do
got
we string all
this."
this together?
Yeah, how do we? And the way they strung it together does it barely strings together.
It
Um,
barely strings together, and it's boring. It is boring.
I am not. We don't even know what Craven's father's business is.
No,
It's just criminal. They never
criminal.
mentioned running
Ooh.
drugs. I think at one point he says you're a drug dealer. We never see the drugs. We never see
Nope.
any sort of shipments of drugs. None of that kind of stuff. We never see guns. We never
We
see
never see
any.
him like we never see even like, oh, we're sitting at a table and we're planning something.
Yeah,
It's just constantly sitting at a dinner table eating. Man, I can't. What's the
and
next plan? Shh, we're eating right now. We'll talk about it later when the cameras are here.
and I understand sometimes it's tell don't show, but if you want us to rally against his father, you got to show me why his
Right,
father's so evil.
right.
Because this guy is taking bodies as well, and like I said, it all came across very strange. I didn't love Dimitri in this. Like I just he was as much of a
The only
MacGuffin as an old school Lois Lane,
yeah,
or something like that. Um, like I said,
I was
maybe
hoping that in the middle of the movie he would reveal that he was a chameleon and he was kind of orchestrating everything, by pretending to be the person on this side and then the person on this side and making
yeah.
everybody fight. Because, like I told you, I'm sitting there watching the movie going, wait, you're on their side? I thought you were on their side, but then you're killing, like, he gets that dude, the Rhino gets that one dude to
Hmm.
join his cause.
And yeah,
And then almost in the very next scene, he basically gets that dude killed by
yes.
trying to kill Nikolai. I'm like,
Which leads me to believe that that scene where he recruits them wasn't a thing. It leads me to
right,
believe that Craven has that, or Nikolai has that conversation with him, and when he goes, "You've made a deal." That we're all supposed to be like, "Oh snap!" And then he goes, "This is for the Rhino," and you go, "Oh wow!" Like all
right.
these machinations in the background. I almost remember the whole like, "Do you wonder why you call me the Rhino?" as like the stinger of the first trailer, as if all of the Rhino stuff was third act. Like that was the unveiling of the entirety of it. But I guess they didn't have enough meat on the bone, so they went, "Well, we'll just sprinkle the Rhino through the whole film. We'll just put him everywhere in this." And it just doesn't work. Like I said, there's no one really to root for. I like the action scenes for the sake of the action scenes. The blood was kind of cool. Some of that stuff was inventive, but they really just missed the mark here. And this is not a this. I no longer have tears for this universe. You don't mess up this many times by accident. You don't blatantly get this amount of comic book characters wrong by accident. This is just mismanagement at this point, and I don't know how this moves forward. It's been declared by the Wrap that Sony was closing its doors on this, but so many other outlets are trying to say that that's not the case. I could see Sony making more Spider-Man centric films, and into the Spider Verse and stuff like that. But man, if this is not what it should stand to be, which is a warning never to do this again, then this studio deserves to lose more money, in my
This
opinion.
is this is this is the rhyme of the ancient mariner of movie verses. Just never try this. It
And y-
goes nowhere.
and you know what sucks? This year for Sony is very similar to what was it, 2 years ago, or maybe even 1 year ago, when James Gunn announced that the DCEU was dead, but then they still came out with Shazam, Blue Beetle, and then Aquaman, and people
Right.
didn't go see it because they knew the universe was dead. So it didn't matter
Mhm.
how good it would be; everyone knows it ends. It goes to a dead end. And I felt like there was a lot of apathy for this as well because people were like, well, it doesn't matter, you know? And, I have refused this entire year to pay for Sony films uh, because I've been deeply, deeply disappointed. And you would hope that they would prove me wrong. And I would go like,
I
damn,
paid to see Venom: The Last Dance. Very mad.
I had
Very
someone
mad.
who liked one and two tell me that they cut off watching three halfway through because they were just like, this is nothing. And it's a shame. Maybe it speaks to how low Sony thinks of its fan base or comic book fans in general. But let them continue to be punished by losing millions upon millions of dollars. You have people like look at the cast of all these Sony Universe films. Some of these are A-list stars, nominated or award-winning stars. You
Mhm.
know, for all the crap we give Jared Leto, he didn't he win an Oscar or is he at least nominated for one for Dallas Buyers Club?
I think you
Uh,
won it.
You understand? So it's like
Mhm.
these people do good things, but every Sony Universe film feels the same. You hear reshoots after reshoots. It's been chopped to hell, ADRs
And
out the ass.
delays,
The
delays,
villain doesn't make
delays.
sense, and then you get to it, and it's just like it almost feels like a school project that you remembered the night before and you kind of put together. And we as comic book fans go, well, that kind of looks like what it was supposed to look like at the end. I guess. I guess that
Mhm.
was good enough. But I am done. I'm done. I'll tell you that. I was done earlier in this year, but I'm definitely done. If some
I
other random tangential villain movie comes out from Sony, you know, I'm looking at you, Clayface, too, man, because Joker 2 was a little rough, a little bit of rough. So right now, this year is not
Wait, hold
doing
on.
well for
They just
anti-hero
announced that
things.
Clayface is going to be a musical. It's going to be a
Oh my
musical.
god, it ain't easy being Clay.
That's right.
Nobody
That's
knows
right.
what it's like to be a
You got a
Clay
friend
man.
in Clay.
Absolutely ridiculous. I had
You
more
got
fun
a
talking about
friend
that
in
than I did
Clay.
talking about Craven. But
Yeah, man, that was hard.
what a movie! What a year for comic book media, for comic book movies, for comic book click.
Some of the highs, some of the
Some
lows.
of the highs and some of the lows. And luckily for you guys don't have to document all the highs and the lows because the very next episode of this podcast, we'll be talking about the best and worst of the things that we've covered in 2024, the highs, the lows, and I think you guys can figure out where this film is going to land. But
Definitely right in the middle. Right
right
in the middle.
right in the middle. But we still do this as a labor of love. I had a friend of mine tell me, you don't have to watch every single comic book movie to come out. And I said, no, this is
That's
Comic
right.
Book Click. It's the Major Issues podcast. This is what we do, and we do it for you guys. And we did it in half the film's time. So if you don't want to watch the movie, hear us
You're
laugh about
welcome.
it.
You're
Hear us laugh
welcome.
about it. This recap and review is more in depth than the Wikipedia one. You want to talk about phoning stuff in? They were just like, and then the Rhino. So
Hey, Chat GPT, make us a script.
yes, please, please, for the love of God. But yeah, consider checking out all that we do as far as major issues podcast at comicbookclick.com. It's the one stop for everything comic book click. Our articles, every episode of the podcast, and more. Is how you reach our merchandise store. Um, so consider doing that. We do this live once a week on Facebook, so you guys can be interactive with the show. But the audio version of this show comes out every single Thursday, so you can set your watch to that. Every single Thursday, the audio version of the Matrix podcast comes out. We also do major previews once a month where we talk about the solicitations and what comics that you guys should be grabbing. We've done a complete year. It's really, really exciting all the stuff that we've been able to cover. And 2025 is right around the corner with some of the most exciting announcements in comic book history, or at least in my comic book fandom. So I'm really, really excited to do that stuff there. You can find our podcast wherever podcasts are found: Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Um, Follow us at facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, and use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest hot takes and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at CBC. We're at Major Issues CBC on Twitter, and we're also at Major Issues CBC on Twitch. I gotta get on Marvel Rivals. I just don't want to embarrass myself in front of you guys, but it'll come soon. It'll come
I
soon.
I
If you
haven't
want,
even had the gall to download it yet.
I don't know if you've played it, but if you want to see like a really cool Kraven, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has a really, really good Kraven in it. He's about
Yep,
8 foot tall. He's a real large hulking man, and he goes to New York to hunt. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that
that's
as a plot?
crazy.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, these guys are just making things up as they're going on. But check out that. This every single week is a labor of love. So tell a friend to tell a friend, spread the word. We have seen higher numbers this year than ever before, which only means that next year is going to be a banner year for Comic Book Click. We have some major announcements. We have some major interviews right around the corner as we just outstretch and get a little bit big for our britches, but we're doing the best that we can. Over at comicbookclick.com, we share that real estate with a group of lovely guys over at Dirt Sheet Radio. Um, uh, those guys are killing it. They're the leading voice in pop culture and professional wrestling. They have live shows each and every day for the most part, covering things like Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I actually did the Saturday night's main event recap and review this past Saturday with Mac over there. Those guys work tirelessly every single event they have a post show, regardless of length. The effort is there, the love is there. They're trying to unite fandoms over there, and they helped us reach some new heights as we kind of merge our fandoms together. Who would have thought that comic books and professional wrestling would have went so well? Chocolate and peanut butter. It's amazing stuff. So check out everything the Dirt Sheet Radio guys are doing over there. Check out every past episode of the Major Issues podcast. And then stay tuned for the best and worst of 2024 as we kind of recap the year. Like I said, 2025 is going to be a banner year. I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because next thing you know, they make Craven a trilogy, and I don't think anybody.
And the Rock is playing and the Rock is playing the Rhino.
Yes, The Rock is coming back as the Rhino. And nobody wants to see that. So get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. We are going to the moon and spots are filling up. Get on the bandwagon, get on the rocket. Join us next week and join us each and every week as we keep providing you guys content free of charge as we love to do. Last but not least, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes. It's the quickest way we grow as podcasters and find out what you like and what you don't. We're over 360 episodes in the can. That's over 740 hours of content of me talking about this. So when I say that this movie was garbage, believe me, believe me, believe me. But we're ready to put this thing to bed. Join us next week, like I said, for the best and worst of 2024 and a good chunk of good content to come in 2025. But there's nothing else left to say. But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
Before I sign off, guys, I will say to add on to the fact that you said Spider-Man 2, Kraven, read the good Kraven stories. Kraven's Last Hunt, The Gauntlet, The Grim Hunt, Hunted. Great, great, great Spider-Man Kraven stories. They're out there. Do not watch this movie. Forget it.
Yes.
But with that said, I'm Alex Garcia, the comic OG, teaming up with the Don.
And this has been our recap and review of Kraven the Hunter. And remember, whether you got magic lion's blood coursing through your veins, you can communicate with the antelope, or just like a rhino, you find yourself a little bit horny. Remember that we are the Click, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.